For years, Kim Kardashian's life looked bulletproof. The empire, the elegance, the endless headlines. But beneath the diamond glow, something was quietly breaking. On the latest season of The Kardashians, Kim dropped a sentence that froze the room. "There's like a little aneurysm." A hush. Then she added the words that made millions replay the clip. They said, "It's just stress. Just stress." Those two words hit harder than any scandal ever could. Because for Kim, stress isn't a buzzword. It's the cost of living under a microscope, raising 4 children, and surviving one of Hollywood's most public divorces. No one expected Kim Kardashian's biggest headline of 2025 to be about her health. But that's exactly where the story begins. When the episode aired, it didn't feel like a scripted moment or a camera-ready confession. It was quiet, almost accidental. Kim was sitting in glam, talking mid-sentence about her schedule, when she suddenly mentioned it. "There's like a little aneurysm. They're like, just stress." The words slipped out casually, like she wasn't ready to give them weight. But the internet caught it instantly. Within minutes, fans flooded social media. Clips of that single line went viral, replayed with captions like, "Kim, are you okay?" and "This isn't normal." Viewers weren't just shocked by the medical revelation, it was the way she said it. Calm, detached, almost numb, as if stress had become so normal in her world that even the threat of something serious barely surprised her anymore. You could see it in her eyes. That split second. Pause before she smiled again and shifted the topic. A move that said, "Don't worry about me." But her tone said something else. "I'm tired." Fans who've followed Kim through the Kanye years knew this wasn't just about stress. It was a glimpse into what years of emotional strain can do, and how easily a health scare can hide behind a perfectly blended foundation and practiced smile. Kim didn't hesitate to name what she believes pushed her to the edge: the divorce itself. On camera, she admitted, "People think that I have the luxury of walking away and not dealing ever again. That's not my reality." For most people, a breakup means distance. For Kim, it meant headlines, court filings, and cameras tracking every emotion. The stress wasn't just emotional. It was logistical, parental, and public. For years, the world watched her marriage unravel in real time: the meltdowns, the late-night posts, the political outbursts. Every word Kanye typed became another wave she had to brace for. And behind that chaos were 4 children, old enough to sense tension but too young to understand the circus around their parents. Kim often tried to keep her tone composed, but you could feel the exhaustion hiding in her voice, the weariness of someone trying to parent through a storm without letting anyone see her flinch. She's spoken before about protecting her kids from their father's controversies, editing out headlines before they can reach little eyes. But now, as she connected those years of turmoil to a physical health scare, the message was chillingly clear. Stress doesn't just break marriages, it can break bodies too. Then came the quote that defined the whole episode. "It's a divorce, not a kidnapping. We haven't left. We're in the same spot. We have the same address." It was part clarification, part cry for peace, a reminder that despite everything, the children's lives hadn't moved an inch. Rumors have swirled for months, unverified but persistent, suggesting Kanye's contact with the kids has been limited. Some fans claim he's been seen at events alone. Others insist he visits privately to avoid paparazzi. Kim doesn't confirm or deny. She just lets the silence speak louder than any statement. What's clear is that co-parenting in their world isn't about alternating weekends. It's about managing schedules across headlines, court orders, and emotional landmines. Kim once said they planned to live close so the kids could run between houses. Instead, that dream collapsed under tension and pride. The reality looks far messier. 2 parents bound by love for their children, divided by everything else. And yet, When she says he knows where his kids are at, there's no venom, just fatigue. It's the kind of sentence that tells you this isn't about revenge anymore. It's about endurance. It's almost poetic that right as her real-life divorce wounds still throb, Kim signed on to All's Fair, a glossy new drama where she plays, of all things, a divorce lawyer. Fans couldn't help but point out the irony. Fiction was starting to look eerily familiar. Every sharp line, every courtroom showdown in the script seemed to mirror her own off-camera battles. Only this time, she had control. Behind the scenes, cameras caught her working alongside legends like Glenn Close and Niecy Nash. Between takes, you could see Kim shifting between two worlds, one scripted, one painfully real. Glenn, the consummate professional, often guided her through emotional beats, while Niecy brought laughter to lighten the air. But even in those light moments, you could sense something heavier lurking. Every time Kim slipped into character, it wasn't just acting, it was reliving. At one point, she confessed, "It's surreal to argue cases on set when I've lived through one in real life." The line drew nervous laughter, but it hit differently when you realized she wasn't exaggerating. All's Fair became her escape and her therapy, a safe space to channel the frustration she couldn't always show in front of her kids. Even between takes, she was fighting her own courtroom inside. The verdict she wanted wasn't fame or applause. It was peace. The London premiere of All's Fair was supposed to be a celebration, a global fashion moment, another triumph for Kim Kardashian. And on the surface, it was exactly that. Cameras flashed as she stepped onto the carpet in a black snakeskin corset, silver chains glittering under the lights, every detail meticulously crafted for viral perfection. Social media lit up instantly. Fans called it iconic. Outlets crowned her the queen of reinvention. But behind those glossy headlines, something didn't feel like celebration. It felt like escape. Because while the world praised her look, insiders whispered something else. She hasn't stopped. Between filming, running her brands, studying law, managing her kids' schedules, and orchestrating her own 45th birthday marathon, Kim was burning at both ends. Reports claim she's been surviving on 4 hours of sleep, bouncing from red carpets to late-night study sessions, barely slowing down long enough to breathe. Even the birthday trip that followed the premiere, a lavish, multi-city event packed with celebrities and cameras, had that same duality. Smiles for the photos, but exhaustion in her eyes. For fans, it was glamorous. For those close to her, it was a red flag. "It's like she can't turn off," one insider allegedly said. "Every time something ends, she creates another project to fill the silence." And maybe that's the real story behind her just stress diagnosis. The impossible balance she's trying to maintain. Lawyer, producer, mogul, mother, every role demanding more than one body could handle. If stress really did cause that small aneurysm, it's not hard to see why. For Kim Kardashian, success has always been a performance. But lately, the act seems to be taking everything she has left. Kris Jenner has always been the steady heartbeat behind her daughter's empire, but lately, her tone has shifted from manager to mother. On camera, Kris didn't scold or strategize. She pleaded. "You have to slow down, Kimberly," she said softly, her eyes flickering with real worry. For once, Kim didn't brush it off. She nodded quietly. No branding deal, no cameras. Just a mother warning her daughter that no empire is worth collapsing for. In another moment, Kim opened up about what keeps her grounded. Her kids. "They're going to know things," she said. "They're going to grow up. They're going to see." She didn't mean gossip sites or documentaries. She meant the truth. The real one. The version she's been fighting to protect until they're old enough to understand that fame isn't armor. It's a spotlight that never turns off. Over the years, audiences have seen Kim in survival mode, fighting rumors, navigating chaos, pushing forward like exhaustion didn't exist. But something's changing. That constant restless energy is giving way to something quieter. Acceptance. The understanding that not every battle needs to be public, not every heartbreak needs to be shared, and not every win is worth the cost. Her health scare may have started as a storyline on the Kardashians, but what it really became was a mirror. One reflecting a woman learning to let herself be human again. In the end, the cameras fade, the premieres end, and the noise quiets. But what stays is the echo of that one fragile sentence. There's like a little aneurysm. It wasn't a headline crafted for shock. It was a moment of truth that slipped through Kim Kardashian's armor. For someone who's built her life on control, this was the one thing she couldn't edit or filter. Maybe that's what makes this chapter so different. For years, Kim chased perfection. The flawless image, the endless work, the next big thing. But sometimes, it takes your body whispering enough for you to finally listen. Her health scare isn't just another subplot in a reality show. It's a warning about what happens when success and survival become the same thing. Because behind the glam and the grind, there's still a woman trying to balance motherhood, fame, and heartbreak, while the world watches her every breath. And it makes you wonder, at what point does success stop being worth the stress? Maybe that's a question for all of us, about what we sacrifice in the name of achievement, and what we forget to protect along the way. If you've ever felt that pressure to hold it all together when no one sees the cracks, drop a comment below. Because behind every perfect picture, there's a story like this one. Messy, human, and real.